right-hand drive. This is Richard's car. We started on that, so the floor pan's been bonded in, riveted in, pedal box has been fitted, brake lines and master cylinders fitted, steering rack all fitted, and we've got the rockers here and the rocker bearings. Oops, sorry, it's cameraman. Rockers and rocker bearings ready to fit in. We're doing that probably Monday now. Inners and outers to do on that. As well, and dampers ready to all fit. Yeah, there's a video online on YouTube actually. We show you how to fit those. We used to do a lot of things and paperwork and manuals, but it's better with a video. It gives you a real clear description of it as well. So the gearbox mounts in the centre, the rubber mounts, that's all fitted in, ready to go as well. Yeah, braided brake hoses in the back fitted, and then we just got to start on with suspension. We're sort of building them as we go along, sister car to sister car. So Richard's car, we've been on with this as well, trying to get as much done where we can. Front suspension is now on, front rockers, steering rack, see 2.4 quick rack on here as well. Just got the rack extensions once we do the finish with the uprights and everything else. And then we've been on with detailing some uprights, the engine's been detailed, and then rocker covers. It's going to be yellow, this car as well. So we've done some yellow detailing rocker cover, and that's a bulkhead panel as well. And then the rear arms are in on this one, top and bottom with the suspension, and then marking on with the loom. So this is the new looms, brand new looms that are made up. It looks like spaghetti, but it's nowhere near as bad as you think once it's laid out into the vehicle, because you've got obviously all your relays, your fuse boxes in here, nice, everything's tucked away and tidy into there. So then we're on with Richard's car. We'll move around there, sorry cameraman. Been doing bits and bobs on this week as well. We showed you the front end was on, the rear end on, wishbones, shocks, etc. Fuel lines have gone in this week as well, which is feeding returns here. Pedal boxes, no, steering bar we've mocked up with. And then the wiring loom. This is the new wiring looms. So the fuse boxes have got cover for this. This goes into a bulkhead panel, which you've just waiting for powder coat to finish on that one. This will mount up into here. So you'd have all your relays, everything all in one. You can see they're all labelled up, all the relays, etc. So this gets pinned all the way through, right the way through in here, all up. And as you can see, everything is labelled here. So we go fault finding later on, but you can see it says headlights, you know, it's if you've got starter motor and indicators, everything's on that one there. Same with this one, we actually put both. So this loom is, we got for starter, alternator and starter on both sides. So if it's a Honda engine loom or it's a Mazda loom, they're different sides with the alternator and the starter. It's universal enough to be able to use and cope with that loom on both sides. And that runs right the way through the tunnel, all clipped up for IVA, all the way through, right the way to the back here. And again,
what's the path that he takes through? Just point it out.
Right, so path, normally there is a hole in the bulkhead panel here. It runs through a long top beam, then drops down and comes up again. The reason it does is because we have here, this is for your handbrake switch, comes out, and also this little bad boy here, if you've got a bike engine car, will be your trigger wheel for your electric reverse. So that's already hooked into your loom as well. Then it runs up and then under the rear here and down and tails off to here. And again, we've got left-hand rear lights, and then we've got fog and reverse. And if it runs up, it splits the same section here, and we have right-hand rear lights, but also fog and reverse. So if you wanted to run two fog lights, two reverse lights, or vice versa, etc., it doesn't matter if it's left-hand drive, right-hand drive, or you're running both cars, you've got the wiring in for both sides. Then it tails off here, which you've got to do the final fitment on for your number plate lights, and there's number plate lights there, and etc., and your fuel pump, which will run into underneath in this area here on this particular chassis. It runs up the top here, the pump's mounted up on the fuel tank there. So all the loom is completely, we basically saddle bush these and cable tie them in. If you ever need to service it and get to it rather than P-clipping it, it's much easier to snip a cable tie off. It's nice and secure still. Pull them off and you've got access whenever you want. Fuel pump was in, which we showed you last week as well. So that's ticking along. Right, so Richard's build, Mazda based, so it's the RX-5. We've been on a few bits on this week as well. I think the handbrake lever's in as well now. It's all fitted in, new cables, everything else, whole mechanism in as well. Going to the back of the car, fuel tank's in now, it's made. They are standard and they come with the swirl pots, all fitted in as well under here, same as you saw in the S2000, but the feed on these we do with a standard Mazda pump. So the standard Mazda pump is here. So yeah, fitted with a standard Mazda pump. It comes out, you don't MX-5, etc. So it has the pickup. But what we do is we used to cut and shut and weld these, which we have done on this one, just to show. But we now make the laser cut bracket that basically sits into there and then gives you the correct angle, and you rivet it in. So it will give you the correct angle that you need to fit your pump. So it's all in one unit there. That goes back in. It's all a welded on boss that goes in. Then once the tank slots, the pump slots back into the tank, nice and easy. We obviously standard Mazda gasket, that will go in there, and that's the whole unit all done. So fuel senders in there for your standard clocks, or we'll rig it up with a digi-dash on this one, etc. And you've got fuel return and output on those. Fuel filters in, which was last week, but the diff's in now as well. That's been, as you can see, braced as well, because he will be going turbo at some point on this, but it's all been braced. Drive shafts are in. We use the poly bushes on the diff. Rear uprights in. Everything's new bearings, etc. on there. All new rear Protect shocks. Braided hoses are in. Back panels trial fitted and ready to secure and fit in now, because we're pretty much done with the back end. We need to do all the wirings in, brake lines, fuel lines all in. So the back panel, they're in powder coated black to match everything. The side panels, the interior panels will be done as well. And then on the front, we've got the corners here, all new hubs and upright bits here. This is having a wheelwood, so this is the brake for the bracket for the wheelwood caliper. They're on ready to mount the calipers. We've just got discs. They should be hitting the door on Monday, ready for new discs that will go on for the wheelwood conversion. So what you saw on our car there is what's going on these. They're now anodised in black rather than silver. So that is exactly the same format on the R1 MC as this. So cracking on with this, a few bits to do, and then once that front end's done, radiator's already in stock, ready to bolt on next week, so we'll have the radiator on. But first job is engine in. So that's ready to go. So we put the sump on that last week. We showed you we chopped it. That should be hitting in on Monday. So that's all ready to go. Plenum's off, but sump's all bonded on now. We're just waiting for that to cure off. So the chopped sump's on. It's got the turbo return oil feed on that as well. So that engine, we'll make that, the brand new clutch, we'll make that to the gearbox. That bad boy you'll see venturing into the engine bay next week as well. So we crack on with Richard's RX-5 here. Big change this week is the obvious thing. Power plant, engine's in. Engine, gearbox, prop, all bolted up to the diff. That's all in now. Engine mount's done. Alternator's fitted. We've just got the belts to do and a pop and pulley on that to finish off. But yeah, that's all detailed in. Rocker covers and the final plenum's got to go on here. Oil filter and a few other bits and coolant lines and that. But the main thing is the engine's in. We've connected up the braided clutch hose line down here, made those as well. Steering link bar is in. Everything there at the front is buttoned down, and then it'll be the exhaust manifold and that will follow on here. As you can see, the bulkhead panels in for the electrics. They're all basically, most of it's tied up now. Fuse boxes here which bolts on this side, so you can access once a dashboard and scuttle and everything's in here. You'll be able to access this from underneath. Relay systems in as well, which is up here. That's our new wiring harness loom, which we spoke about over the last couple of weeks. I know you've seen that, guys. So we head on round to the back. Let's have a look what's going on here as well. Well, some nice shiny stuff. I love the shiny stuff. New calipers on the rear here. New discs, cross-drilled and grooved as well. Standard Mazda that we run on the rear. Standard calipers. The handbrake cable, that's all in. That's a standard Mazda. As well, comes direct from it. So again, if you've got the donor car, guys, and if you didn't want it and the cable's in a good serviceable order, you don't have to put new on. If you know, age related plate wise, you can stick in your original cables. We've done that before, many customers have, and they're usable. Same as the fuel filter which you saw last week, and the fuel filter bracket. New filter obviously, but brackets all usable that we use for it as well. Cables are all in. Braided hoses are in, ready to connect up down here. These are on the Mazdas, they're banjos. But we supply these ready-made, so you don't have to do anything yourself. We supply them in a kit form, which bolt on here on the banjo form. Brake pads are in as well. So we've tidied most of the back end up there, and the same on this side. It's all been done on this side. New calipers, handbrake cables, discs, bearings, everything's done on that side and buttoned up. Heading on down the front, we've got very nice Willwoods on here. These are our kits that we spoke about the other week with our brackets that we make. Vented stock MAZDA size disc, the 256, cross-drilled and groomed vented. All new hubs, everything on here, bearings, very nice as well. And also the braided hoses. Now, we've had a couple of questions, Neil tells me we've had a couple of questions on this braided hoses now we fix it. Now, we have a few different setups that we do, but also many kit manufacturers do things differently. So this is what we do, but there may be an adaptation you'll be able to use on your own kits if you've got another make or model. So we have a bracket that's welded on here. Now you could make that bracket, I suppose, and rivet it on if you don't. If not, you can go through the side panel. And when it comes through here, this has to link and goes into the caliper. It's a 1/8 MPT that goes in here to a M10x1 on our fitting. But depending on your wing stay, mudguard bracket, whichever you want to call it, sometimes for clearance in this area here, you have to put on a 45 degree. This is like the 45 degree, and it's a different. Then we have this adapter that goes into here, it screws into here, so it angles it away, which you can do either this way, so it angles the cable away, and this way, whichever way. So to clearance on your bracket. This cable or braided hose on lock to lock, so if you're turning the steering from one way to the next, you must make sure you can change the orientation on this, that nothing hits or interferes with any wishbones in any way. So if it's sitting in the middle here, you turn full lock one way and full lock the other, which is this dude, you see it's not interfere with any metal components. That's an IVA really thing that you have to do for passing. So if it's up here, chaps, and it's hitting when you're on full lock, you can loosen this off, rotate it around and lock it back up via these two nuts. But that's just a little tip for you. You may already know that, I don't know, but it's something that it could be a simple fail on a day, and it'd absolutely annoy the hell out of you if you failed your IVA because of something similar like that. Because if you crack it off, you've probably got to re-bleed your brakes again. So simple tip there. So yeah, most of that's coming together for Richard quite nicely. And we'll crack on next week. We've got exhaust manifolds to go. We've got interior panel sets, which is in fact the back panel is now bonded and riveted in. Blackhead rivets on this, they're 4.8s. Blackhead rivets that we use on them, that's sealed and bonded in. We've got the side panels here ready to go in once we've finished tidying up all the centre tunnel, all new, the handbrake sections in with the switch mechanism, that's all in as well. So that's coming together quite nicely. Right, on to the build areas, chaps. What we got here, which is RX-5. We're on with the build with this. A few bits done this week as well. A couple of jobs. Radiators mounted, that's a 55. And the intercooler setup on the front. It's a front mounted intercooler, ready for turbo application. This engine's already got all the turbo return in the sump, shortened sump, which we showed you a few weeks back as well. That's all gone in this week. Rounded front wings, is this car's having rounded front wings on it in particular. So we've bent all the wing stays up, and it gives you an example of the other side that's pre-bent now. We get them into powder coat as well. So we have a couple of options on the front wings. Thought I'd show you that. So that's the rounded style that's going on. It's on a 185 60. They are the Pro Race 1.2s, which you can no longer get in 13 inch. So it is the kind of the last hurrah on those. But also we've got here, got CSR style, which has also got the return tab. This is just a sample one. But if you look at this fitting onto the vehicle as well, what do you prefer, chaps? CSR or rounded? It's a very difficult one, but it's very personal what you want, but we do offer both. And also this has got the return tab on it to actually fix into the wing stay as well as an additional fixing, so it makes it super strong. We bond these on anyway rather than fixing, but if you've got a second fixing on the side here, it's definitely going to be super strong. So these go up to easy up to a 205 tyre on the front, no problem at all, if necessary. And same as the rounded ones, they will do a 205 tyre on the front. So what else have we been on with? Well, top tip, I suppose. Seats are in. You're thinking, why seats are in? It must be mental. It's one of the last jobs you do. Well, not really, actually. Because if you can imagine you've got your side panels on and you've got your interior panel set on, much harder to get in there now and drill the holes for your seat runners. Whereas now, if you put the seat runners in and everything else, you've got access on both sides here to actually get in and bolt down your seats.
You can take them out afterwards, which we'd show you on the S2000 we don't. You can take them out again, but it's already sat there ready for you to just pop them straight in. Because when you struggle to try and get behind here, once all the side panels in the way, you can't mark the holes as easy onto those metal plates, the bars that go across from here to here on both sides. It's easier. Same as the seat belts. We've fitted them, trial fitted them, because the seat belt hole on this side, the threads are slightly too long, so they have to be trimmed down. That's 35mm, because obviously the bolts are very long, and that will actually be in the side panel, so you can trim them at the same time. So it's all ready to go. So you've dry fitted your seats, whip them out again, and it'll be much easier to do it once your side panels are all fitted on. Top tip for you. So, couple of questions we had in. So we've got that, the roll bars fitted as well. All of that area's sort of buttoned up now. The fuel tank's in, all the bearings, the wheels have all been fitted, the brakes now all dry fitted. And then somebody spoke to us about questions last week on fuel tank straps. There's a couple of different ways you can do that. On our cars, we have on the back here, the parts are all welded in. We have 2 tabs, which we'll show you the pictures up on here. These are bent in the same way as this. So you bake the shape, which slots down, and then it bolts on down here, and then on the front you just do a 90-degree return and it bolts down on the front, and we'll show you some pictures up on that in a second as well. So that's one option, but our tabs are already pre-welded on the RX-5R and the Indy R. All of those are pre-done now. If you've got a classic chassis, we'll move over to this one. Slightly different. The chassis is completely different in the whole of the rear end as well, but we do the return on here, so it's bolted down, but also then we bring it down onto this back bottom rail and it's riveted in, so it stays straight here, up and over, and then when it hits the bottom here, you put the 90-degree turn in. Foam it out, chaps, if you want to as well. You should put an earth strap on your fuel tank anyway, so a separate fuel tank earth strap anywhere, a piece of wire down to your earthing your fuel tank out. So that's one way of showing you how to bend your fuel tank straps, and it's only a piece of aluminium, so you can bend them in a vise, you can bend them with pliers even. They're not particularly difficult. You can actually put them over the fuel tank and bend them themselves. It's not particularly hard to do. So top tip for you there on the fuel tank straps. Right, Richard's car, RX-5. It's had a colour change. It's no longer just black, it's yellow. So that's what we've been on with this week as well. Cutting in, the side panels have been done. We're doing a full length. We do 2 options on this. A lot of the race cars, we actually stop it short here. We cut it off. We try a little bit more air in there and a bit more cooling for the sort of track orientated car. You've probably seen that on a couple of cars that one that went to Dubai and France, etc. We stop it there. And then with the road cars, this is generally kind of going to be, it's not really going to be a track car. We enclose this so it stops most of the road grime and things like that getting in there. That helps, keeps all that area clean as well. So, but yeah, we cut all the holes. They're all in the manual, these holes dimensions, guys. So, you know, from the drop distance downs and the hole sizes you drill out on your panel, and it all has a reference. So it's all in the manual. Can't remember what page number it is, but it's in there on both sides. So if you're looking for that cleaner look, you can do it that way, or you can cut it short. Depends on your preference, really. So we've cracked on with that. The rear tub has been dry fitted as well, and we've got to do the final fitment on this, but this rear tub has also been completely dry fitted as well, so that will slot on in the same position and over here. So that's all been pre-dry fitted, and we'll get that fitted on this week, start bonding and bits and bobs on that as well. So yeah, yellow. God, I love a yellow car. We've got a demo car in yellow as well, but I love the yellow and black. Fitting looks really strong as well. So it's mainly been panel fitments and a few other niggly little jobs, like putting the alternator belts on and little niggly jobs inside the engine bay that we've been doing on this week. So it's Richard's car, nice colour change. I think it's yellow rear arches that's going on this, but you'll see as it progresses. Right, Richard's RX-5, been on with that. A few bits and bobs. It's all the little things that you don't see behind the scenes that we've been doing, really. Whether it be trimming all the holes for IVA, fixing all the bits in here for wiring, niggly little things like this, all this IVA trim you're putting on now. Obviously, you noticed last week that the intercooler and radiator set was put on, but we've been doing lots of niggly little bits behind the scenes on this, buttoning up some of the wiring and etc. Side panels, we won't bond on just yet. We're nearly finished with those because we were just prepping all the exhaust system and link pipe. That's been done, and a bracket with fitted on for that, so that can then go on once the side panels are finally bonded on. So it's been a lot of fiddling and fettling off and on this week on this particular car, so it doesn't look like a huge amount of change, but sometimes you get those big changes when you put it all onto the 4 wheels and it looks fantastic, and you bolt a few side panels on it changes straight away, and then you do a load of little jobs that you think, oh, it don't look like nothing's changed. Well, you'll get that when you do that in the build, so don't get too disheartened when you're building your cars and you think, God, I've been down on that all week and don't look like nothing's changed. Those little jobs are the attention to detail that make A, it'll be better, and B, it'll be more reliable. So don't, pay that attention to detail when you're doing all of the niggly little bits, especially paying attention to wiring fixings, brake line fixings, fuel line fixings, all those little things that get looked for when you IVA and also add to reliability later on down the line. So that's what we've been on with this one. So what we've been on with this week, really? Well, it's been out there already on socials. Omics. We've started to wire in the 600 management. We've had the looms made for this. So we've got the Onyx management here, all plugs in on a multi-plug system, all in the injectors on the top here of the plenum. The plenum's gone on now as well. TPS is wired up. We've got a couple of things like for the air temperature sensor to plug in once we put the filter on here. But generally it's only like, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 or 11 plugs really to run the engine now, rather than what we'll show you over there in a minute. And then that plugs into our standalone loom, which runs all your accessories and etc. there, your fuse box for it here, and then there's all the wiring as well. So we've got that to do. A couple of little bits you have to do for modifications. It don't run on the standard TPS, on the crank position sensor. So we have to put on this trigger wheel, which has the 2 missing teeth, so to speak, here. This has got to be bolted onto the bottom pulley. So that's got to happen next. That's the next job. Fuel lines are in. They've been plumbed up. We will put that out there because a couple of people have asked questions, which is the return and which is the feed on the Mazda. Well, if you've got your pressure regulator, normally it goes up to the pressure regulator, through the fuel out to the pressure, and then out the other side. 90% of them work that way, but there's a diagram out there. We've put that out there as well. So we've been wiring, doing about oil pressure is in here. We bring this off of, we take the standard oil pressure switch under here off. That's a 1/8 BSP. Most senders do come 1/8 BSP, so sometimes you have to tap those out. But Richard's going to be running a DigiDash, so we just put that all in, plumbing the wiring in as well for that, etc. Top hose is in. This is slightly different from standard. We've put in a fitting here. It's an inline fitting, and that's running for the coolant temperature because, again, he's running a DigiDash rather than the standard clocks and dials, and same with the oil pressure switch. So we're putting all of that in. Bottom hose is in, coolant hose in, top hose, all the feed lines are in that run from the water-cooled oil cooler. And this is a sort of we've got these parts on the shelf now, these sort of coloured silicone hose kits as well. Exhaust system's on, panels bonded on this side, so the exhaust and link pipe with a 6-inch silencer, 2.5-inch straight through on these. A nice little rasp actually. And we'll be on with the other panel. We've been a little bit slower on that because we had to bolt the plenum on, mainly because when you come around here trying to get the plenum on without the side panel in place to get to all these bolts is harder, so we left it off for this section just to get the plenum back on. We've bolted on the EGR valve blanks. These guys are available. Again, we've got them in stock and on the shelf. So we blanked off all the EGR, these two here. This normally links up to a pipe round here which gets tapped off, and blank this off as well. This one, if you want to do it later on, this will get blank for now, but this can also run for your boost feed if you're going turbo at a later date for the small silicone nose. So that's kind of where we've been with Richard's car. Little bits behind the scene. We've got the pulley here, which we've got to then line up for the trigger wheel to sit behind there as well. So that's a job to start next week, and then we'll start buttoning it up, and then with a few little niggly jobs to get that back down on the ground into a full roller. But while we're talking about up in the air, these lifts. Everybody's asked me about these lifts. So we've got about 3 or 4 of these. They're really good. They're not hydraulic. You don't have to have electrics or anything else. They're manually operated with electric drill. Decent height for in your build, as you can see. It's a really good height. And then if you want to drop it down on the ground, you can put your engine in, etc. Or even when you want to service it later on, all 4 corners are up in the air. They do tilt backwards and forwards. And we've procured these, and we've got them available on our website now. So Neil may ping a link up, or if you've got any questions on it, bung us a message, and we'll chat to you about them, and we can get them delivered to your door. so you don't even have to collect them, you can get them delivered direct. So cracking bit of kit, and it takes about, I think it's 1.5 ton, I think, isn't it? Something like that they take, about 1.5 ton. So more than ample for this. And even if you used it and built your car on it, you could probably sell it later on and get 90% of your money back, because cracking bit of kit. But I'd probably keep it, ideal. Right, RX-5 time. Richard's car, I think you can see quite a bit of change from last week. It's always big change when you put bodywork on. So we've got scuttle mounted, side panels bonded on, bonnet is being in mock-up, ready to put on the bonnet catches, nose cones being trial fitted on as well, ready for that. This is the new, well, it's not even new now, it's been out quite a while, new bonnet scoop that we do. We call it the Essex Bodywork. That's pretty cool. Much nicer scoop than the traditional one, we think. Gives it a bit of nicer lines. We spoke last week, exhaust system was on, and now the rear tub's on. That's all fixed and bonded as well, so that's done. Looking tidy. I love the yellow, looks killer. Great colour combo. Wheels are on, we've bent the wing stays, they're on, and wheels and tyres, so we get this on the ground to do the final fit with the rear arches next week as well. So they've just got to go on now that we can centralise those with the wheels. There is stuff under the bonnet as well. All right, taking the bonnet off, we've got the bulkhead fitted in as well. That's gone in, so we can start finishing off that. We've got a few bits of electric, throttle cable's gone on, and a few bits more to do on the, little bit more, because we're going to mount the header tank in here next. You've seen these chaps. With this, we'll have the aluminium one on there. This will mount somewhere in this position. That's the next job. That's why the bulk has been fitted, so this will go in. That's the next job for there, so we can finish all the cooling lines, etc. off as well. So yeah, little bits and bobs to do under here to tidy up, but most of the bodywork fitment's done, and then we'll start fitting the dashboard's been started as well. So we've just got to run at the wire. So we've run a DD2 on this. Nice little bit of kit that we love. So yeah, all that's all been fitted on, looking good in the yellow. Strong colour, strong colour. All the holes pre-drilled now for the indicators to go in as well. So yeah, there's the Essex Bodywork, and that fits quite nicely. I like the scoop on that. Does look way nicer. And if you've got a VVT based engine, then this is designed to clear your VVT mechanism on the top of the rocker cover, so that helps with clearance issues as well. So that's kind of where we are. Hopefully Richard's liking what he's seeing, what's going on now. So a few bits to do. Obviously we'll keep plugging away with that. That's cool, love it. Right, RX-5 time, Richard's car. A few bits more done on this week. Ticking along quite nicely. Let's pull that bonnet off. Drop that down out of the way for a second. So a couple of little jobs. This has been now fixed and secured down. We can pull that off, but we've done all the screw fixings for this, secured it in, holes are drilled in for the indicator, stalks to go in ready for IVA, headlights are mounted, just got to be wired in now into the loom. They're all done as well. We spoke about wing stays. Throttle cables in. We'll pull this off a second. Z bracket down here, chaps, as well, so we've put that in as well. So this mounts in for the bottom of the nose cone. That's in that section. We drilled that and we screwed it in from the inside as well. So that's in. Obviously the intercooler radiator was last week, and then we've made the lines in for the coolant on this side. Coolant lines in the header tanks. Very nice header tanks. That's in and mounted on the bulkhead. Bulkhead panel we mounted in as well. Throttle cables secured and in. Oil pressure sender switch has been finished off. Top hoses in with the senders in as well, and some of the other cooling and plumbing lines that will be fitted in. Wiring up the things like the TPS here and that's all gone in as well. We've got a few other plugs just to connect up. So not far away. Clutch line's gone in down the bottom here. We've got a few straggly bits of wire that we've just got to sort out for the we put in the fluid pots down in here as well. Pretty hard to see that, but the brake fluid reservoirs are in. We just got to put the low level warning floats in here for IVA spec, and then that'll get finished off down in there for both of those in with the clutch line finished off down there. It's like a braided hose clutch line. So these look great, really clean, cleans up all the bulkhead. So all you have on the bulkhead here is the battery, which will mount here, and your coolant tank, which is nice and solid and mounted, and these are very nice bit of kit. Coolant lines down, running into filling up to a T-point down in the base here as well. So all of those little components, we just got some vacuum lines to plumb up in here, and we should be firing this week coming. There's no reason why I shouldn't be firing up at all. And this is just a feed return from the top of the rad as well. So the intercoolers are getting done now, because it will go turbo at a later date, but we've put all that in ready for when it does, because I'm pretty sure he's going to want that if he's mad. But yeah, they're great fun when they're turboed. Even normally aspirated, I still like them normally aspirated. It's just a nice car to drive. So as we spoke last week, fuel caps in and stuff like that. The black fuel caps in there as well. So really coming together quite nicely. We'll put the nose cone back on in position there. Get that dropped in like so. Once that's secured with the Z bracket in there, I think we said last week, I mean, I like all the colours. There's not many colours I don't like, but I do like yellow and black. Does look strong, doesn't it? Does look strong. Right, Richard's RX-5. Been on with this week as well. A few bits being done. We spoke last week. I think the biggest thing you'll notice is it's hit the ground. It's hit the ground. So we're on with finishing off some of the final wiring under here, buttoning up. We said throttle cables in, a few other bits and bobs, plumbing and wiring under here. Putting in the lambda sensor, that's gone in as well. Just running in the pipe work for the link on those coolant temperature sensors for the OMX and all that's in. Just got the air temperature sensor to put into the filter once we plumb that underneath. The breather for the rocker cover, that's gone in with a little filter. Don't put them here, chaps. See, it drips oil maybe onto your manifold. You know, potential fire hazard. If you run it out of the way and run it to the other side as well. That'll save you a lot of grief, hopefully, at one day. So indicator extensions have gone on, and carbon indicators. So a little bit of carbon detail in here. The clear lens ones that we've put in this one as well. Grills on the front. Headlight lenses from last week. Braided hoses, final attachment done on those. The wings will bond on last, which we spoke about last week. Centre tunnel. This has been trimmed, ready for here. We'll fit that in. That's our one-piece GRP tunnel top. That's all been trimmed to fit in with a handbrake, and we get the gator on, etc. in there. That's the last job. Steering column's gone in. We've just got to button that up and do the final wire with the steering wheel, etc. on there. And then the biggest, I suppose the biggest change here is on the back. I'll get out the cameraman's way. Is Neil's way there. Obviously you see the fuel cup last week, and then we've put the LED light pack on as well. So we've got the all-in-one rectangular. They've got indicators, tail lights, everything, and the built-in reflector, all IVA compatible. Nice clean light with the LED fog light, LED reverse light, all on, all in a nice sort of line, all IVA compliant heights as well. Ready for your number plate. Last job to do is just the number plate light here, which will fit in this section. So we've just mocked up with our show plate there, so to speak, as well. Roll bar, just got to do the final bolt down on that. Once we do the boot cover, we'll fit all the boot cover as well. So this is getting really, really close now. Obviously going to go into Christmas period, so this will be finished in the new year. But yeah, it's making very steady progress as well. Right, RX-5 time. So we've been on with this. It's our first week back. So we've been shipping lots of boxes this week, but we've also been managed to work on some cars as well, doing some bits. So a few changes. Air intake's been done. Air temperature sensors under here as well, plumbed in just down below here. It's got to be plugged in with a wire in there. Breathers are done. We've been on with lots more wiring and detailing to be done. So lots of plugs and wires to connect, and wired in completely all the DigiDash, so the DD2. That's all plumbed in now, and you know, these can be programmed to do whatever. So we've got to connect up the sensors, but that's all. That's all. Rest of it's all connected in now. So that's done. We've been on with the centre tunnel as well. So the centre tunnel's been done. Moved round. Just got the final fit on the boot cover to do. We've fitted the rear stripe. Had to fit that now because obviously the number plate light gets fitted as well. So boot cover's a final fitment to do on that. All the lights, the rear lights have been wired in now with concealed plugs and stuff like that on those, and all the front and rear lights. So that's all in. It's all systems from last time, etc. as well. So plumbing, most of the plumbing's been headed up here. We just got to do the final fit on once we've done the bulkhead and the wiring, etc. as well. So been tinkering along quite nicely with that one this week, and we'll show you hopefully the dash and all that will go in next week once we get the final wiring installations done. But the boot covers fit great. I say these are roll bar ones we're doing for roll cages as well on the R chassis. So but yeah, black and yellow stripe, can't go wrong with that. Can't go wrong at all. Right, Indy RX-5 time, and we've been cracking on with this during the course of the week. Quite a bit of progress actually, wiring and things like that, and plumbing that we was having to do to get this thing where it needs to be through the final stages of the build. So what we've been on with, well, let's have a look. Firstly, the most important thing, does it start? Well, there we go, she's running. Nice smooth tick over. We've got good oil pressure showing on the, we've got 60 psi here showing. All the digi-dash is now wired in. So it looks pretty good. Oil temperature's pretty cold, the engine's cold, but that's quite nice. Nice smooth running engine. So that's obviously running. We're running that with the MX system now, and the standalone loom that we've done for it. We've partnered with MX on this to get it all up and running, and that'll go off. We've got to get some mapping done on it, just to final tune it, etc., and make it all where it needs to be. But she all starts, she all runs, engine's good, solid oil pressure. We knew it was a good engine anyway, so that's fine. And then we've been on other things, lots of wiring. So what we've been on with here, so we've got side lights on, dip beam on, main beam on. They're all working out, and it all works on the digi-dash and shows you when your lights are on. Here we show you, we've got a telltale light that your side lights are on, and then if I turn this off, the hazard. This has to work also when the ignition's off, guys, for IVA, like that. A few people have had forgot about that one, just so you're aware. So yeah, if we've got side lights, we've got rear LED lights all wired in now as well, which we'll throw that on. We'll throw the fog light on as well. That lights up on the dashboard. We've got a nice LED fog light in there, and turn that off. And again, when you're doing this, you've got to be that if you turn your lights all the way off and turn them back on again, the fog light cannot come on. That's an IVA compliance thing as well. So indicators, left and right, they're all working. Hazards, same as well on the rear. Even in reverse, I think. Yeah, even in reverse is working. So, and a horn which we've got to wire up to the centre steering wheel, but that all works as well. So, yeah, that's looking great. All the digi-dash is all wired in, showing it's all connected to its sensors, so that will read what's going on with the engine as well. Nice new black switches. I don't know if you've seen these ones. They're the new switch, guys. They've got a really nice tactile feel to them. I'd say better than the Savage ones, to be honest with you. And the covers might not fall off the front like some of the Savage ones do. You have to keep gluing them back on, but that's a nice feel to that. So she's running. Yeah, we've got the bulkhead finally fitted in, and then we spoke about the OBP based header tanks in the workshop as well. That's in. That's what it looks like situated, and then we're going to be fitting a couple of these bonnet retainers in here for the customer as well. These little billet ones that we spoke about inside, and then the battery lid just to go on for the battery with the terminals as well. So that's all getting buttoned up. Centre tunnel's pretty much done. We spoke about it last week. We'll do the final fit on that once we put the handbrake gator and the lever gear lever in. We've fitted the boot cover. That's gone in quite nicely. All black poppers on that, neat and tidy. And then the final job, which we've got to do, is a speedo sensor. This is for the ETB dash, when it'll probably be easier if I show you on a chassis over there. So we'll pop over there and show you that in a second. So yeah, that's buttoned up quite nicely. As we said last week, stripe, number plate lights all in, etc. So this is just in its final stages of buttoning up and then going off to to be rolling road and tuned and get it for its cold map start in to make sure it's all bang. We know the cold map starts now because it started and it's freezing in here. It's about 0 degrees. So the cold is actually starting it, but we just want to make sure it's all dialed in. And that map, whenever we send an ECU or you buy an ECU from us and a loom, that will also come with that map. So it'll be IVA compliance, emission compliance and cold start maps already on it for you as well. So cool. So that's where we've been on with that. Dashboard's in. Oh, I didn't, yeah. Forgot. That's all plumbed in, look, completely clean, no switch gear at all in the centre, which I really like, and everything's all on the steering wheel here controlled. So all your vinyl switches for lights, wipers are wired in, horns, everything, and just a couple of switches for the fog light and hazard and the ETB. So it's all in one containing one unit, and the rest of the dash is completely clean, same as the centre tunnel. So, and we quite like that, quite like it. Keep things simple, then generally they look cleaner as well. So great, I'm sure Richard will be happy with that. Right, so the other RX-5 for Richard, as you know, we had it all running last week, started up, a few little bits we've done this week, and this heads off, I think it's Wednesday actually, it heads off to the road, it's all booked in, so we'll be delivering that down to MX. They're going to go through all the management and tie everything in to make sure all things like in the butterflies that are in here for the low down torque work, and we get the maximum sort of efficiency and obviously for IVA spec emissions, but also try and tweak, there's a little bit of horsepower out of it as well. So yeah, we'll give it a progress update once it comes back from the rollers and see what the numbers are. So what else has been on? RX-5 stuff again, Omex. We had the car down at Omex. It has been down there for the last couple of weeks because they've been doing a lot of cold start mapping, perfect weather for it at the moment, and dyno in it and tuning it in as best as possible and making numbers and trying to make all the systems work correctly for us with all the loom. Well, pleased to say the results are in, and he may print up a dyno here. We got, so what's stock? I think 138 stock horsepower and a 1.8 BP engine and about 118 foot-pound of torque. We came in on its glory run was 160 horsepower. That's a big jump just for management change, and something like 20 foot-pound of torque extra as well. So we're super happy with those results just for a management change. I'm sure there's more development to come out of that engine if you wanted to do light and flywheels, cams and other things, bigger throttle body, maybe different colder air intake, all of these kind of little bits that you could do to increase it. But 160 stock, that's more than a Z-Tech is stock, I think, or just about with throttle. You've got to have throttle bodies on a Z-Tech to do that. So really happy with that. And Richard down at Omex, who we partnered with, was super happy, super pleased with it, and was actually pleasantly surprised. And weirdly enough, when you look at the graph, when it hits the 170 horsepower up here, it's still climbing. If that could rev more, if you could make it and maybe upgrade the valve train in the valve springs and things, you could get more. You could let it rev out to 7,500, 8,000. It would be awesome. So it's still climbing. Unbelievable engine. We're a big fan of them. So the RX-5 is back, as you know, from Omex when we had it all tuned. So Omex done all the mapping on this on the 600 series ECU. And as you know, the numbers, which if you only just joined us, if you've only just subscribed or something to us, made 160 horsepower at the MAZDA 1.8 BP engine, which is decent horsepower. If you know, they're normally 138. So we're super happy with the numbers, the way it runs and everything else. We're just prepping it now for its final trip down to ready getting for IVA, really. So this week the nose has gone on now, the IVA grill's gone on, the indicators and the stalks, these are carbon effect with clear lenses. The new SX scoop, as we call it, the larger scoop that goes in there, that's actually useful as well. If you're doing a VVT engine, this scoop actually makes it clears all the VVT, which normally sits at the top of the engine there as well. So that's super cool. Super clean shut lines with the new bonnet scoop as well. I know sometimes in the classics you get a bit more of a gap, but yeah, that's a really clean line all the way down there. The IVA rubber bonnet catches have gone on. We've got to put the cat on here because we had it dynoed with and without cat to make sure it made emissions if it may change any horsepower, but with or without cat it still made the same numbers, so you can run it with cat all the time if you want to. It's not a problem. You can decat it if you're doing track days, maybe that's a bit more helpful. So interior's all finished off pretty much now. Cameraman will probably see, but we're just protecting these bits, but you can't really see too much because it's quite bright, but it's just a full black, all the tunnel top in, gear levers. We're just putting the mirrors in, and the side mirrors have got to go on next. Trimmed, these have got to be powder coated black, but the side trims for the kick strips have been done as well. So yeah, super team, clean and tidy, like the yellow as we've said each week. So yeah, super happy with that. And the RX-5, and you'll see that rolling through to its IVA in a few weeks' time. here with the RX-5, prepping this for IVA. As you know, it's the MX management system on this, so we've done some testing on this today and yesterday, put some miles on her. She runs 160 brake horsepower basically, as you know, 22 more than stock, which is awesome, but also with the cat on it, it still runs 160 horsepower and it's emissions compliant, IVA compliant on the emissions as well. So that's stonking. That's basically where it should be really, because you normally tune a car and you run it rich and everything else to get the maximum horsepower, but we managed to deliver more horsepower on MX-5 with us, awesomely, and make it in with the legal requirements for emissions. But little feature in the Kit Car magazine has jumped on the doorstep today as well, so if you haven't signed up or subscribed to it, do it. Adam does a great job with him and his team down there. Little feature on that with the MX as well system on it on the RX-5. If you like what you see and you're into your kit cars, guys, then why not subscribe to our channel? Press subscribe, click on the bell icon, press all, and it'll send you notifications each week. We've got the side lights on here, the LED light pack. I'm gonna fire this up now. You can hear what she sounds like. Super quiet on idle, as you can see. Let's give her a little blip, shall we? See what she makes a nice noise. Yeah, sounds bleating awesome. We're standing here with the RX-5, Mazda-based car, as you know, guys. This was in the IVA this week on Tuesday, successfully passed first time. And what we've actually done, now that we've actually got it through the process, quite a few have gone through the process now, so the manual helps you with that and guides you through it. But we've had some people asking, maybe we could do a video, maybe on some top tips about getting them through IVA and some of the ideas and some of the things to look out for. Now, the M1 manual is massive. You can download from VOSA. Of course, you can have a read if you're really feeling completely bored out your mind. It's a very long manual. So I've done a short video. When I say short, it's probably a good 50+ minutes long, so you might need a nice cup of tea. And Neil will throw that out there over the course of this weekend on the sort of top 60. I think there's about 60 items that I've done on what to look for, whether it be light alignments, the headlight angles, where the indicator sits, the tyres, radiuses and things like that. We've done a nice video. Because you guys have asked for it, we've tried to deliver that for you. And that's whether you're building an MK or maybe even another brand, if you're unfortunate enough to do that. Build an MK, it's much better, make your day. Then yeah, that's good. So hopefully that's going to help you do that. But the RX-5, all passed on Tuesday, running the MX system, as we said, which gives it that extra horsepower, the 160 horsepower, and it's IVA emissions compliant, because we've passed on that first time as well. So that's very much plug and play. And we say, plug and play into an MK, and that's how it works. So super job, looking killer, and we're going to be dressing this up now and get this registered and hopefully over to Rich in the next sort of couple of weeks or so, and he'll deal with that, and well, when lockdown eases, hopefully he has a little bit of fun in the sun. So great.